money. Joey, 500. Got some goats in the building.
Get ready for a shakedown.
Prepare for a shakedown. We from Philly where they clap like huddles when they break down. Get ready for a shakedown. We underdogs, my guy. Kinda used to all the hate now. Prepare for it, man, y'all get it. My QB got swag, my wideout is award winning. This fly was fly. Joey and 500. Like and subscribe. Yeah. Here's a quote you can sing back. Shake squad up and don't be a dingbat. It's a shakedown.
Don't you frown.
It's
Here
a
comes the shakedown.
Let's go.
Yo, by the way, King Dingbat here. Welcome to the Philly Shakedown podcast with me and one Joey Shakes. Joey, what is happening, my friend?
Not much, man. Another week, and we're prepared for more things, and we got some things to talk about today. Definitely.
We're gonna talk some things. It's gonna be a little fun. We got this, we got that, and it should be a lot of fun. What is going on, everybody in the chat? MJ is here. Chris Scott is here. Micah's here. Tyler, Devin, JJ Rock Philly, Daz. What's going on, buddy? Hey, Daz, you gotta explain the difference between the carnivore diet and keto. Nathan, what's going on? Ronnie, Jose, Luke, Laceyford, Nathan, Ronnie, anybody that I'm missing, I apologize. Fitness Warrior, the man, is here. Christopher, Khalil, what's going on? Sean, Willis, Neil, Robert, what is happening, everybody? Anybody miss Philly by Day? Philly Rocky, Kenneth, anybody I'm missing? Todd, thank you guys so much for being here. And really, the one thing I got to say is we are going to find out the schedule next week. We are going to find out the schedule, man. I cannot wait to see what this thing is. I really hate the first week matchup. Not that I hate the matchup. I just hate the spot, but we're going to see where this thing goes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, not only for the holidays, but just where they have the bye. Yeah, the holiday games is going to be interesting.
Oh, they better
season.
not. They better not give me a Christmas Eve or Christmas Day game, or I'm going to be so pissed.
I got a feeling.
I've heard the rumors that it's us and the Ravens on Christmas Day, which I'm really like. If we become the every year Christmas team, I'm going to be so mad, dude.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, we'll find out, but obviously with these schedule predictions and stuff, we got to take everything with a grain of salt because of everything that can happen within the season. So I'm excited about it. We'll see where it goes.
Mm-hmm. Where did I get the hat? This hat on the on the Eagle Shop. Eagle Shop, I got it. That's where I get a lot of them. G5900 member for 7 months. Thanks so much. Give Jalen audibles and such. Joey slept with my mom right off the bat. Let's just get right to it. Boom. Joey has already banged his mom. It has already happened. That took a whole 3 minutes and 30 seconds. And we are all...
You hired some people.
Philly Shakedown doesn't begin until we get one of those comments. I love it. I love it. Daniel, what's going on, man? How are you? Let's see. The border looks like the Dallas Satanic Star logo. The 1-star rating, you mean? John Jones says, can't wait for my Cooper DeJean shirt to come in. Yes. And speaking of that, you guys still can order those. Those will be going out next week. Cooper DeJean, the Flying Frenchman, ça c'est bon. As well, if you guys haven't seen Big Pimpin' Howie Roseman. Link is in the description. His pimp hand is strong. You can order that. And then we got Q coming. We got a couple Q stuff coming very soon as well. So look for those, my man.
Yeah, very excited.
I think the link is in the descriptions of both channels. I don't know if you want to throw that in the chat.
Yeah, I just did. Yeah, I just did.
Okay. David says it was always Detroit with the Christmas Day or holiday games, and Detroit always sucked as long as they were playing them. Yeah, Detroit always does Thanksgiving. It used to be Detroit and Dallas Thanksgiving, and then it turned into now there's 3 games on Thanksgiving. I hate it. I really hate it so much. And I just think it waters the product down. when you have that many games. You know, it's like now we're getting into Friday games. Now we're getting into Tuesday games. You know, I don't know.
I get it.
Digital Print House, thank you for the super chat. He goes, they are shaking Drake down like the podcast, laughing my ass off. Thank you for super chat, my man. Let's see here. So yeah, we got the schedule coming out this week. The Eagles should not have a first place schedule, right? Dallas' schedule should be harder than the Eagles, I would think. They finished in first.
True. Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see. And then obviously, like earlier in the week, we had finally got to see the press conferences of one Vic Fangio and Kellen Moore. Give me your overall feeling about those.
To make this an out, I mean, we'll talk about it for a bit, but I mean, we come from last year where we don't want to be lied to, okay, and then get into the season, and then totally get bamboozled a little bit on some of the information that the coaches did promise us in the off season. So I think with with Kellen Moore and Vic Fangio, experience. And Vic Fangio obviously was the more important one I really had more interest in, because this defense really needs to, there's a lot of moving pieces around with this defense. It's the same scheme, but Fangio, it seems like he knows what he's talking about, what he's doing, making this defense get back to the, the aggressive, maybe the tough ways of how he used to be mentality wise. He even talked about adding more practices for this team. We have mini camp this year, the first year since Nick has been here, June 4th to the 6th. So, he's not going to scheme his way out of games. He's going to go back to his basics of what the team knows. He had a lot of pull, I guess, between free agency, the draft, I guess, especially with the draft. Apparently Howie Roseman told him to pick several players, give his opinions on them. I feel like Vic did have a lot of pull there when it comes to the defensive players. So he talked about a few players and stuff. Like, I feel like even both sides, Kellen Moore, Greg Newsome, the quarterback coach, going to have a lot of pull when it comes to the quarterback play, to the passing game. It's going to be a tweak system. It's going to change. The offense is definitely going to change. Talked about, what pre-snap motion does to defenses. And I feel like they just knew what they were talking about, and there is a plan in motion. I mean, that's what I'm getting out of it. We can go in depth with other things. I just don't want to talk for 20 million minutes, but
no, it's all good. It's all good. I thought they kind of said what they were supposed to say, but I couldn't help but have flashbacks to Sean Desai. And I'm not saying Fangio is even close, because I don't think it. But remember when Desai last year was like, our defense is going to embrace the identity of what Philly is and how they play in the history. It couldn't have been further from the truth. So at least with Fangio, I feel like when he says, we're going to not be sitting there in week 4 or 5 and seeing new offense and not have any idea how to do different things or adjust, my overall impression is I think we're in way better hands on both sides of the ball than we were a year ago. We are.
No, it's true, because look, like you look at what, I mean, Fangio is a hard-nosed coach. I mean, there's rumors that a lot of players, like even players now, like don't really like him, and that might be a good thing for us. Like guys like when he was the DC for San Francisco with Patrick Willis there. Patrick Willis is one of the top linebackers in history that really liked the scheme. So there's guys that like the scheme. There's just, Fangio talked about players being pushed, and I think that's what you have to do. And it just seems like he knew what he was doing. He said the defensive ends are going to drop back in coverage. It's going to happen. If you think it's not going to happen, it's going to happen a lot more than what it is. I think he has a lot of pull of what they're going to do. I think the practices are going to be more demanding. So we'll see.
Going to be interesting. Youngin says, Philly, tell your wife and all mothers happy Mother's Day. I definitely will let her know. And to all the mothers out there, tomorrow's Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day. Thank you for everything you do. Thank you for putting up with us, men. We appreciate it, though, and we love you. So happy Mother's Day to everybody. Holy crap. Maryland Eagle just blew my mind, man. Wow, man. Wow, dude. Man, super generous of you, man. Thank you so much, Maryland Eagle. He says, "What's up, Philly and Joey? You guys are awesome. I look forward to listening to you guys every Saturday night for the Philly Shakedown podcast. I'm hoping one day I get my own channel going. Let's go Birds." Well, when you get your channel going, hit me up, man, and I will help however I can, man,
Definitely.
for sure.
Thank you,
But
Marilyn.
man, wow, dude, that's a really generous donation, and you did not have to do that. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate that a lot, man. Thank you, man. Shout out to you. Are you still? By the way, Marilyn, are you home now? Are you still deployed? What's going on with you, man? But thank you so much. Johnny F says Isaiah Rodgers out for vengeance. The whole secondary thing to me is such an interesting conversation. Because
Definitely a lot to talk about.
I really think that I think there's one or two ways that you could go here, and I think if the Eagles don't play these guys, if they don't play these young guys, I think it's a big mistake. I just do. Ryan Reyes, thank you, and welcome to Dingbat Nation, buddy. Thank you so much for joining, man. Appreciate you,
dude. There's two things to the conversation when it comes to the secondary. I think a lot of things change. Like if Bradbury's still here at the beginning of the season, and if the rumors are true, and what if Cooper DeJean is going to be the starting nickel full time, then Isaiah Rodgers is going to be a waste. I mean, I think he's wasted at this point. I think you have to play him. You got a legit starting cornerback. I don't know. Now I'm starting to think like Isaiah Rodgers, was he like a cautious plan when they brought him in last year because they didn't expect to do what they were going to do in this draft? Was he like supposed to be the starting corner this year if the draft wasn't going their way this year, if they weren't targeting a corner in the first round this year? Like, that's what I kind of question now.
I remember when they specifically signed him. I remember the talk was that he was there to be a nickel corner. They thought that he could do it. They thought he was made for that position. But if you look at him, he played most of his snaps outside. That is definitely true. And I would say that you have to consider him a starting caliber starting caliber corner. So if you put him on the outside, you are then going to have Slay Bradbury, Mitchell Ringo, and Isaiah Rodgers. Now, Rodgers would probably be ahead of Ringo. So at that point, it just feels like you have a starting corner that you were just letting ride the bench. So either Bradbury has to go, or Isaiah Rodgers got to be a nickel corner. He's got to be a nickel corner.
Quinyon Mitchell can't sit either. I mean, they can't afford to sit all these guys and redshirt a whole bunch of guys because Bradbury's only here for one more year. If he is going to be here for one more year, I think it's a total waste. Like if he's not even in your long-term plans, why keep him at this point? No point.
No, I totally agree with you. Is this you or me?
That's you.
Okay. Davey, remember for 2 months, thank you so much, because I wish they asked Fangio about Nolan Smith. Yeah, I really wanted to hear his take on Nolan Smith. I wanted to hear his take on his opinion about Hassan Reddick and why he was moved.
I'm surprised that question wasn't. I'm surprised they never asked him any question about Reddick. They didn't ask one.
No, it was giant mother humping softballs being lobbed. It was,
yeah,
they were a lot. Bloody Shot, thank you for the super chat. He goes, hey, Philly Joe, I just ordered my Kelly Green Trotter jersey, but changed the name on the jersey to the Axeman. I like it, man. That's awesome. I have to go back and see if I can find my old Trotter jersey. I have an old Trotter jersey buried somewhere. Probably wouldn't fit, but Deep Space wants a shout out. Shout out to Deep Space and that kitten on the thumbnail. Shout out to you.
What did you get out of Fangio talking about the linebackers? Did it seem like he was straight with who he's going to use, or do you think that there's an open competition right now?
Well, it was interesting. Like Braun was the first guy he brought up, right?
Zach Bond.
So I feel like that was an indictment on Nakobe Dean. Now, I'm speculating. This is purely speculation. But the first guy he thinks of was Vaughn, and he's talking about him not having played the position, but he thinks he can. So, like, why is that the first name to come out of your mouth? Like, that interests me. You know, is Nakobe Dean, is it an open competition? Like, I don't know. I don't know what to think. I get a feeling that he probably isn't totally happy with the linebackers that he's got, but he'll deal with it. That's what I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think these are the guys that he's brought in. He's brought in all these guys. I mean, he talked about Devin White and said they know that he can get him back to where he was. Zach Bond is interesting because he hasn't really played off-ball linebacker. He transitioned. He hasn't played it long. He played it late with the Saints. Was an edge rusher. So maybe he knows. Maybe there's some guys that are going to stand out. That we're not expecting right now. You never know.
Yeah, you don't know. Fitness Roofer, man. Welcome to Dingbat Nation, man. Thank you so much for joining, man. Appreciate you so much. Yeah, it's crazy. It really is. Yeah, 30 pounds by September, or my fat ass. Now, people are pissed off. I said I made a bet with myself that I got to lose 30 pounds by September 5th. I said I would wear a Cowboys jersey for a week. People don't like that. So I might have to change my punishment, but, we'll see. Todd, thank you for the super chat. He goes, I don't know why, but I feel like the Eagles will have a top 5 defense this year. I hope my feeling is right. I wish I could sleep until September. I know if we could just fast forward, like right after the schedule, just fast forward, I would be okay with that too. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. The defense has a chance. It literally has the potential, in my opinion, to be way better than people think. But I really believe it's also you have to look at it almost, you got Saquon Barkley, not just for the offense, but for the defense as well. And I really think you need to take advantage and play these guys. Look, you play the rookies early, they'll make mistakes, they'll mess things up, but as the season gets on and as you get to the playoffs, they'll become better. Now, just think, if you guys like Mitchell, Dijon, if they all go out and play, just think about next year, year 2, when they've had a full season of reps. You're just so much more ready, Michael says, who are you starting at the secondary, even though there's no preseason games that haven't played yet? If it was me, all right, and this is just me personally, this is what I would like to see. Slay, Quinyon Mitchell, outside corners, Isaiah Rodgers in the slot, CJ Gardner-Johnson, and Cooper DeJean at safety. Mm-hmm. That's what I would like to see.
Same. Yeah, no. I mean, I think you got to throw these guys in the fire. That's why you have this offseason program to get these guys prepared for the regular season. And I think there's a lot of time and between joint practices, between these preseason games, a lot of reps. And, some of these starters won't be playing every game. They're going to sit out. Like some of the, the older guys or, some of the veterans won't play too many snaps. But this is the time where these guys gel together. So,
yeah, no, it's true. Fitness Warrior says Zach Bond and Devin White starting linebackers. We're just speculating, but if you just listen, the fact that he brought him up first, it makes me wonder. I think Devin White definitely starting. I would assume Nakobe Dean's going to start day 1 at linebacker, but who knows? I mean, we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
To me, the Cooper DeJean, where you play him, to me, sets up the whole defense. It really does, in my opinion. Tyler, thank you for the super chat. He goes, hey, Philly, I saw your last video. If you need losing 30 pounds, I'm an online personal trainer, starting my business. We can work something out. Plus, love you guys. I love your takes on the Eagles. Man, thank you, man.
Thanks, man.
I just might hit you up. I just might hit you up because I could probably definitely use the help, as you could tell.
Well, last summer I was working my tail off. I just started again. So last summer, I mean, it took maybe less than 2 months. I lost 20 pounds.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's just sticking with it and, not get, not go crazy with your eating routine. You don't have to, castrate yourself and, die from not eating
I
something
will
bad
promise
once a
you, I
week.
will never castrate myself. That will never. No. I told my wife, you're never even clipping me. Babies are always a possibility. I don't care if you're 90. If I can slip one past that goalie, I'm doing it. So yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting. Tyler, thank you, man, so much. I just want the young guys to play. I want them on the field. I don't like if you look at Nolan Smith. I just feel like we wasted his rookie year. I really feel like that. It's just the way
They
is.
didn't play him enough. They
Not
didn't
enough.
produce nothing.
No. I mean, what if you have a guy that like Nolan Smith and okay, he's a rookie, but the more snaps and stuff he gets by the end of the season, he might start feeling comfortable and stuff. And just think if you would have played him a lot more, just think about going into year 2 where he would be development wise than where he is now.
Well, the Reddick trade wouldn't hurt as much. I mean, it wouldn't have hurt as much because if Nolan Smith at least produced, then you would feel a little bit more comfortable on top of getting Bryce Huff. Now you're taking a gamble on Bryce Huff with more snaps now to think that he's going to get over 10 sacks this year. And Nolan Smith, do they think of him more as an edge guy, or do you think they're going to put him straight up, outside linebacker? So we don't know where he's going to be, physical wise,
right.
But I think they need to add more. I think they need to add another body to the edge. They need to add somebody there. I mean,
they might. They just might. And we're going to talk about that because, I want to get a little into that as well. Jay Koch, welcome to Dingbat Superfans, my friend. Welcome and thank you so much for joining again, I believe. Dave says, I, for one, will also be totally humiliated if you lose that bet. Because you are you, and you can't be seeing the Cowboys jersey no matter what. It just can't happen. You have to change your punishment. I'm all for changing the punishment. I'm not trying to like cause post-traumatic stress for people. So think of good punishments, and we'll work on it. Nathan Hoffman, thank you for the super chat, man. Appreciate you. He says on the road to victory. I like it. I like the sound of that. Chris says Sidney Brown not getting any love. He's not, and he probably should. I like Sidney Brown. It just the way I look at it. I guess my mindset is just fixated on this year, and this year he's coming back from an injury. That's tough.
I wonder if he's coming back in August. I mean, they did that little competition with the deadlifts on the field and stuff. And I mean, people are saying he looks ahead of schedule, like way ahead. So, but I think like a month, maybe 2 months ago, he said he was, could be back. He'll be back by the first game. But I think there's potential here. He could be back. And that's just another hybrid player you have at safety and corner. So it's great.
Right. Back. I mean, their secondary stacked with talent. There's no question. I don't think Avonte Maddox is going to make the cut. No. And I think there's going to be a trade. I think Maddox gets cut, but I also think somebody's getting traded. I don't know if it'll be like an Eli Ricks or something, but they just got so many guys. Charles A., thank you for the super chat. He goes, thanks for all the content that both of you put out. With the schedule release around the corner, over under 5-1 p.m. games. I'm going to say... I'll say over. I'll say this year it's going to be over. I'll say over 5.
I feel like
1 p.m.
Yeah, I'd probably say over. As much as I don't want to have 6-7 primetime games this year, just because I think we just had enough of it last year, and they should have more 1 o'clock. How many 1 o'clock games did they have last year? 2?
I think like 3.
2 or 3.
I think like the last, they had. I think they had one early in the year. I can't remember exactly, and then it was like. They had to wait till like the second Giants game and then one other game, the Arizona game. It was like nothing. There was like 3, which actually for me, it works out okay because I don't have to get up at 7 o'clock in the morning and try to wake up. Jay Koch, thank you for your support, man. He says, what up, guys? Imagine in the dime on 3rd and 7+ with both the ends dropping back into ball hawks everywhere in the secondary. You got ball hawks everywhere in the secondary. You do. And I almost view like C.J. Gardner-Johnson and DeJean, very similar. I think they're naturally, I think they're natural ball hawks, man. I think they're instinctive players, you know.
True.
Bald Eagle, thank you for super chat. He goes, I see us signing Simmons still. DeJean will be in the slot. See, when I know they're saying that they're giving that DeJean's working in the slot, but when I hear that, I really truly believe that, and I don't know this for sure, but maybe it's just a wish, but I believe he's working at corner and safety. So I think he's working in at nickel corner and at safety.
Like,
you know,
Fangio talked about like what are the prime elements to his defense. Like the main element to his defense, he said having those versatile type players. But physically, you could be a guy that could play multiple positions. But mentally, can you handle and can you execute at multiple positions really well? And I think that's where he's going to value DeJean a lot. Now, of course, like the nickel position, like I don't think it's going to be full time. I think they're going to just throw him there because they have to throw him somewhere. And I think as camp goes on, I think they will move him to other spots. I think that's just what they're saying now. They're going to have him at one spot. Of course, they have to start him somewhere. They're not going to throw him like, look, rookie camp. They just did multiple things with him because it's rookie camp. Okay, but once they get into training camp with the rest of the guys, then he will start to move around. You know, he'll slowly start to move around a little bit. So yeah.
Splendid says 500. Dean has a talent to be a great linebacker. I didn't buy the jersey for nothing. I listen. I think Dean has talent, and I think that. His biggest issue is the lack of reps. He doesn't play enough because he's been banged up, unfortunately. So I'm not writing Dean off by any means. I'm not. But it's hard for me to say, oh, yeah, he's definite, you know, because we just haven't seen enough of him. You know, I mean, he just got out of his boot, right? Like, he's not even healthy yet.
I think February. I think middle of February he got out of his boot. Or
so,
he was, yeah.
So when are you going to have these mini camps and all this stuff? Is he going to be able to take part in it, or is he not going to be taking part in it? I mean, that that worries me.
Nah, like look. If he even gets a little, I don't care if it's a fingernail, I don't care if it's a toe, if it's anything like that. If he gets a little injury like that, they have to start moving on to other. They can't put too much into him anymore. It's just going to be, maybe he'll have a chance to start later on, but he's got to stay healthy. You missed if you miss an off-season program, you can't be thrown into a season and expect to see much. And he was on IR twice after when he was out in the offseason. 2 times he was on IR. So
what was his injury again? Was it it was a foot injury? Was it a Liz Frank? Was that what it was?
I know the offseason it was an ankle. I forgot what the other 2 injuries were.
But yeah, so I mean, listen, I'm very hopeful that he's going to show us something. I am. Sylvie back. Thank you for super chat, man. He goes, just showing support. We appreciate that, man.
Thanks, Phil.
Thank you. Let's see. How big of an impact losing Cox and Reddick is going to affect this defense? Listen, I think that's a very fair question. I think it's a very good question. I think, to me, I'm actually a little more worried about, I would say on the field play, I'm a little more worried about Reddick, the loss of him, than Fletcher Cox. I feel like with Fletcher Cox, you drafted 2 first-round picks. 2 of them. They've got to be able to help with that transition of not having him. They just have to. You can't have 2 first-round picks go out there and stink. No. I think they're the key to this defense, to be honest with you.
No, I agree. They might even get more snaps. I mean, I could say maybe a backup nose for Jordan Davis. Maybe they have that guy from Baylor, that Gabe Hall. They could use him because he could definitely play inside and outside. So, Moro Jomo was a flash, a little tiny flash at the end of the season. Mm-hmm. I forgot there's another.
Williams.
Guy.
Milton Williams is still good.
Yeah, he gets better every year. Everyone had a down year. There's a lot of guys that Milton Williams had a down year last year. Everybody had a down year last year. I mean, you had no pressure with this D line. You barely had coverage. We know what happened with this team last year and these coaches last year. So,
Jordan Davis does look good so far.
He does.
So that's a really good. And Vic Fangio said that he was very encouraged of what he's seen, but his main concern about him was what does he do when he's at home? You know what I mean? What does he do when Philly 500 is drinking eggnog on camera? That is not a good thing.
No.
Ryan Reyes, David Super Chat goes, did you see Zay Jones sign with the Cardinals? I did. Did you see all the Cowboy fans were like, oh, Zay Jones, now we're making moves. We're doing. They thought they were going to get Zay Jones, and then he
Najee
went to
Harris.
Arizona. And
Najee
they're like, oh,
Harris.
we don't want him anyways. They don't want any. Mark Holmes is now doing videos. Did Dallas really lose the offseason? And then it's like he's now making excuses on why Dallas is going to be good. These people are delusional. They're delusional. I saw statistics. Somebody, I forget what it was. It was about throwing statistics for Dak Prescott, and he was compared to Brady, Montana, Breeze, John Elway, all these guys, and like you're trying to put Dak Prescott with these guys, and all of them have won a Super Bowl, and Dak has never sniffed it. It's unbelievable how delusional they are. You know. It just is. Justin says, 500 Joey, love you both and always here with you. Thank you, buddy. Look forward to all the content daily. Anyway, my daughter, Quinn and I get a birthday shout out. Hers was the first, and tomorrow is mine. Well, happy birthday to you, Justin. And you said your daughter was Quinn. Happy birthday, Quinn. Shout out to you.
Definitely.
And happy birthday to both of you guys. I hope you have a great day. Let's see. Stack says 500 where you work. FBI. I'm in the witness protection program. Todd Skank, David Super Chat goes, you can lose that 30 pounds, 500. Diet is key. I lost 70 in 9 months. Just keep yourself moving. Yeah. That's great, man. I hope I can do that. I've got to do it. Dad says everyone is sleeping on Sidney Brown for sure. Man, there's just not enough guys. I mean, there's just not enough room. You got a lot of guys out there, I look at I really think I want to see what they do with Isaiah Rodgers, because if you put him on the outside, then I think you're probably cutting Bradbury, right? Because you're going to start him. And I wouldn't do that. I would start Mitchell. But Isaiah, I don't know. I just think that he was a starting caliber corner. You're just going to sit him on the bench and ride him on the bench?
It's going to be a big mistake. I think it's going to be a big mistake if Bradbury's still here by the time of camp starting.
And who did they like so much that they were willing to cut Avonte Maddox? See, the only thing that makes sense to me is that you go with Rodgers as the slot corner, and you start him. Then you have a starting caliber there. That would make sense to me why Maddox will be on the out. Then you have Slay, Bradbury. Maybe you cut Bradbury. You should. Then you put Mitchell in. Now it's like you got to get Dijon on the field. Well, the natural place would be safety. It just makes the most sense. And then he can also play nickel corner at times too. So I don't know. It just seems like the logical path that they're going to.
If Bradbury wasn't in the picture, this would be very easy to figure out. Like then I'd feel more comfortable. But
so if Bradbury was cut, how do you think this thing would shake out?
Well, I think your lineup would be the way you said it earlier. I think you'd have Brad. I think you have Quinyon Mitchell on the outside. Dejean at safety. You'd have Isaiah Rodgers inside. I think it's obvious. Like I think that's where it would be. So
it makes sense that way. And I look at Ringo and I see Ringo. I really think Ringo has starting caliber. Cornerback in him. I do. So I think he could eventually be on the outside.
Every guy that you add, like keeping Bradbury, is just going to hurt what's behind him, because now you're not only going to hurt your draft pick and Quinyon Mitchell, you're hurting Ringo, you're hurting the rest of these guys to produce and potentially could try to find what your number 2 is, at least for next year, because Slay will probably be gone. So,
and you still got Reed Blankenship. You still got Sidney Brown. Now, like I said, with Sidney Brown, he's coming back from injury this year. I am not putting a lot on him. I'm really not. But it doesn't mean I don't like him. I do like him a lot. Green Eggs and Ham, member for 6 months. Thank you, man. Still can't believe we got Mitchell and Dijon. I know. I agree with you. I agree.
New Pick City.
Yep. New Pick City. Lonely B says, I'm thinking the over and under for Saquon Barkley's rushing is his career high of 1,312 yards. He's behind the best line he's ever had. I feel like that's about right. I think he's going to end up somewhere between 12 and 1,400 yards on the ground.
I agree.
I do. I think, like I said, I think. Here's what I think. Barkley, the first 2-3 weeks, people are going to be like, Barkley's just got to hit the hole. He's just got to hit the hole and go at it. What is he bouncing around and dancing for? And you know why? It's because he's going to see holes and he's not going to know what to do. Because he's so used to getting the ball and then having to make that first initial move to survive. He ain't even going to know what to do. He's going to have to adjust to these lanes to run through.
Yeah, you're gonna have to think too, because these running backs are gonna be in the passing game as well a lot. Depending on how much they're gonna use Saquon in that. Will Shipley, Kenneth Gainwell is. How many running backs do they keep in? Is Kendall Milton gonna make a spot? So it's running backs gonna be interesting how they use these guys.
Yeah, it is.
No doubt.
Which King, member for 45 months. Shout out to you, man. Just, do you guys think with all the new and young defensive talent we have, we could be similar to the Chiefs defense in a couple years? Yeah, I think the Chiefs are a great example of this because they went and they had that offense and they had Mahomes and they really rebuilt that defense and let those young guys come out and play. And as you saw, at the end of the year, when they got into the playoffs, that defense started playing much better football. And then last year, they were 2 years in, and they played really good football. So I do. I mean, I think that's exactly why I think you've got to play these guys.
Oh, the difference is we could be excited all we want, but we're switching coordinators almost every year at this point. Okay. The Chiefs have had Spagnuolo in there since 2019. He's been the DC there for a while. So that helps tremendously to keep everything in-house and how to use guys. Keeping your scheme and keeping the same DC, same coordinator in the building for that long, it helps tremendously. Oh, yeah. Us doing what we're doing, that's why there's upside to Vic Fangio and there's downside. The upside is that he's an older coach and he's hard-nosed and he's, we feel that he knows how he's going to use these guys, what he's doing. The downside to the whole thing is that he's an old coach. How many years does he have here? Like, is he gonna, you know what I mean? So there's a time limit there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he's a head coach anytime soon. I think he stays for a while. But I mean, your point is true that they did have Spags for multiple years, but they still did go young and play the young guys.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we need to do, Baldio, thank you for Super Chick. Goes, Fangio wants to be able to blitz from the corner. Listen, I hope he blitzes at all. I don't know what his blitz rate is and was in Miami, but I think they need to add blitzing. I don't think they blitzed enough last year. And I'm trying to catch up to this chat real quick because I'm way behind. Silly 500, Ringo is safety. I don't see Ringo as a safety. I think Ringo's an outside corner. And I think he showed it, at the end of the year last year. What? Stock the Bread says, breaking news, ICBM launched to take out Topol. What? You're kidding me, man. I'm going to have to head for the hills that happens. I'm going to have to go into hiding. I got my little radiation pills. I'll have to go take them. Because one of the things go off, it's all going down. These people are crazy. Let's see. Kellen Moore is going to leave. Now, see, I don't think he lasts. All right, so let me throw out a scenario. Let's say the Eagles go to the NFC Championship game. All right, let's say they lose. Kellen Moore is then probably going to get a head coaching job. Would you keep him by hiring him and firing Nick Sirianni anyways?
Yeah, they're gonna have to. I mean, they have to at this point. I don't think. Look, when I was watching the draft, the War Room, if you notice, like Nick was like sitting all the way on the left side where the camera wasn't even looking. I mean, I don't think he has anything to do. I know Kellen Moore was saying, oh, me and, this is a collaborative thing with both our schemes. Like, there's no scheme. Like, what other scheme are you connecting from yours to Nick's? The only thing you should be taking from Nick is the brotherly shove. Other than that, there's nothing else you should be taking. Like, I don't think Nick has had anything to do with coordinator hirings from the assistant coaches, because I think the coordinators had power in that. And from our free agency and drafting, Nick just looks like he's just there just to be a motivational, hands-off coach. That's it. And if you think if they're that successful this year, it's going to be because of Nick. If they win a Super Bowl this year, is it because of Nick or is it because of Kellen Moore and these?
But how do you fire a guy? Let's say he wins a Super Bowl. Like, how do you fire Nick? How do you do that?
You might not, but you might not though. Okay, so you might not, because like if Nick just keeps his hands away, then that's fine. But if he starts to, creep.
But what I'm saying is you're gonna lose. You're gonna lose. Let's say you go to NFC Championship, you're gonna lose Kellen Moore. I don't see how the Eagles go to the NFC Championship game and then fire Nick Sirianni anyways, and then retain Kellen Moore. So I really think there's a good chance that in a year we're talking about a completely new offensive coordinator.
No fucking way. There's no way.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, would you fire Nick anyways?
Yes, you would have to.
So if he won the Super Bowl, let's say he won the Super Bowl, and Kellen Moore was going to get a job, but you want to keep him. Would you fire Nick?
Then you're going to have to give Kellen Moore some head coach money or something. You're going to have to.
You're the first coach ever to win.
Dude,
like, why keep him at all? It's just crazy.
You'll have to pay Kellen Moore head coach money or something, because increase his salary. I mean, that's the only thing they can really do.
You're gonna have to do something major.
I don't know.
That's for sure. Yeah, Cactus's World. Yeah, I know. It is. Yep. Youngins, you streaming Tuesday? I might be. I'll let you know. Yeah, I don't know. It's crazy. Is Kelsey coming back this year? That's an interesting question. I mean, the whole thing with Kelsey is that he's still there every day. He's at the NovaCare every single day. So I don't know that he's coming back. I still have my doubts. But I would love it.
Did he already get that job? Did he already get that job already?
I thought he took a job with ESPN.
Yeah.
I don't know for sure. But even if he takes a job at ESPN, to me, at some point, he's coming back to be in the Eagles organization. I really believe that. Let's see here. Dak choked before and after Kellen Moore. Yeah, Kellen Moore has been scapegoated by the Cowboys and their fans. That won't hold up anymore. Show enough, my man, what's going on? Doesn't matter who's in Dallas, Moore or not, they never do anything. Absolutely. JHS Records and Entertainment. Thank you so much for Super Chat. You two are the best tandem team online. Thank you, man. We really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Eagle says, sub 500, Joey. I agree our rookies need to play because they have guys who can easily come in and make an impact. And with the offense we have, it's okay if they make mistakes. Let them learn. I mean, that's how I feel. You got that offense. Let those guys learn. And it's not even so much for this year. I think that's something you want for next year. Because let's say next year Slay goes and Bradbury goes. It'd be nice if these guys had a lot of reps and then could come in and play. I mean, my dream scenario for the secondary would be to have Mitchell and Ringo on the outside, C.J. Gardner-Johnson and DeJean as that Swiss Army knife, and then Isaiah Rodgers in the slot. And then when you need to put DeJean on certain matchups, you move him around. He needs to go on the outside, he goes on the outside. He goes in the nickel, he goes in the nickel. He goes in safety, he goes safety. And then you have guys like Reed Blankenship, you have Sidney Brown, and they could come in. I think if you do that, I think in 2 years you have the best secondary in the National Football League. I really do.
No, I agree. Totally agree.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find this blitz percentage because I really want to know.
Yes, they are much faster. I guess I don't know for sure though, but I'll take what you said is truth. Foster Parks member for 9 months. Thanks so much. Fire Nick and make Kellen the head coach play caller. I think that's what they would do if the Eagles struggle. You know, I do. I think so. You promote Nick to the front office and hire Kellen as head coach. Yeah, you could do that. I mean, does Nick seem? And maybe I read into too much, but I don't know. He just seems uncomfortable to me. Ever since the end of the season, and bringing in the coordinators. If you listen to Kellen Moore, it just sounds like Nick may not be comfortable with the current situation.
Well, dude, like if he actually he might have been a coordinator with the Colts. Who you think was the Frank Reich called the plays in Indianapolis? He didn't call the plays. And then he goes to the Eagles in 21 and he had to give the play calling to Shane Steichen middle of the season. Okay.
You know what's going to happen. You know what's going to happen.
I'm telling you.
Right? First 3 plays, wide receiver screen, wide receiver screen, wide receiver screen. If Nick gets involved in this offense, all hell's
it's done. No, this season will be done. Like it will be over. Like I'm not falling for shit anymore. Like I'm gonna be very crucial this year. Like if they win like 5, if they don't have one, like they have to have at least like one, multiple. I mean, I'm saying they have to be dominating. We didn't have one dominating game offensively last year. Okay.
Right.
I know the defense is a part of it. I get it. We've seen Jalen Hurts put the team on his shoulder. I know. So they have to get this right because I'm not going through ugly wins every single week at the skin of our teeth. So
right. Bald Eagle said, thank you for super chat. He goes, Kelsey's only coming back if there's major injury. Yeah, I mean, maybe that would bring him out of retirement. I don't know. But I just wonder. I mean, to me, if I was Kelsey, and this is just me personally, I would be thinking, man, I just hate going out the way we did this past season. And then to see Saquon Barkley come and all the moves that the Eagles made, I would have to feel like, man, I just got to come back one more year. But, you know, he doesn't have to do that. And that doesn't mean he's going to. That's just me. Nico and Steven says, guys, Sally pointed something out in the war room. Nick seemed not to be paying attention like he'd been scolded by the principal. That is interesting. I need to go back and watch that. I think he seems off. I think he seems off at the press conferences and stuff. I do.
He's got no control over anything. They gave him an ultimatum to fire his coordinators, and if he didn't do it, he would have got fired, and that's what they made him do. Because God knows if Nick Sirianni had control and they gave him another shot yet again, he probably would have kept one of his coordinators, probably would have kept Brian Johnson by his side. Because we found out middle of the season by, questions being taken by, the Philadelphia Eagles website, that this offense was on Nick Sirianni's game plan. This was Nick's. Right. That totally changed everything. When Dave Spadaro was getting questions from Eagle fans, one Eagle fan was like, "Oh, what's the percentage of Nick Sirianni's control of the offense?" And Dave was like, this is Nick's game plan." It's like, dude, this isn't good. Like, you hire Sean Desai. That's the only reason. Like, why did they hire Sean Desai? Sean Desai was like the closest guy that's worked with Fangio when he was with the Bears as a quality control guy under Fangio for a few years. Like, is that the only reason? Like, that's why like Nick couldn't give the play calling over at the end of the season because there was too many young coaches. There was no experience around him just to give it to somebody. Like, Nick looks stupid every week.
Denard was the guy they should have hired.
Yes,
that was the guy. That was a mistake. Really. Big Marshall, man, thank you for the super chat. He goes, like I told you yesterday, 500. If we are good, it's because Kellen Moore, not Nick.
Mm-hmm.
Little Nicky is out. Yeah, I mean, listen, you might be right. The question is how soon? Like how soon does it take? What about Sidney Brown? Bruiser speed. I like Sidney Brown. I want to see him come back from injury. I'm assuming that injury and coming back this year, we might not get him at full level. But 2 years down the road, I think you got yourself another good safety. And a guy like him, when you're moving guys like, Dijon around and C.J. Gardner-Johnson around, because C.J. Gardner-Johnson is like Dijon. Like, he could play nickel corner too. That's a great time. You put guys like Reed Blankenship in and Sidney Brown. So I think I think he's good. My question is, I think he's coming back from injury, and that injury usually takes a full year.
Yeah, it takes a while.
Andrew, thank you for super chat. He goes, if you could have any coach, who would it be? In history or in currently in the NFL? Currently in the NFL is a good question. I know that I want to say Andy Reid, but I just can't. I can't do that. I can't say Reid. I don't want Belichick back. Man, I tell you what. Coach in Houston, Texas, the Houston Texas coach. I like him. I mean, not only that he was the Eagles linebacker, but I think he's a good young coach. I would also say Mike Tomlin would probably be up there for me.
True.
Falls Apart, David Super Chickens, you 500. Can I get a wrench? Let me see here. If I can find your name again, I will. I can't. Let me see where you at.
But I can't find the blitz rate for last season. I've been looking for it, but I know in the first game of the upset against the Chargers, I think they blitzed like 7 times.
Yeah. Knight Rider, David Super Chickens, fellas, I'm excited about this season. Rhino 98 Defensive Player of the Year. He might listen. Jalen Carter is going to have a good year. I'm really hopeful. I really am. We'll see. We'll see. MJS says you are all jumping on the Moore bandwagon when you haven't seen a damn play.
Well,
Here's what I'll tell you. It's not the Kellen Moore bandwagon. It's the Eagles' offense on that team is ridiculous bandwagon. And I've seen enough of Kellen Moore with Dallas to know that he's capable to put, some good things out there. Dak Prescott's best year was the year with Kellen Moore when he had 37 touchdowns. Mark Holmes might try to say and argue differently, but, look at the talent they had. Look at the way they use Cedric Wilson. Look at the way they use Gallup. Look at the way they use those guys. I've seen what Kellen Moore can do. I think Kellen Moore has been a scapegoat because the Cowboys constantly choke. And I think that after this year, that won't be an argument anymore. So it's not so much the Kellen Moore bandwagon, but I look at Kellen Moore as capable enough, an offensive coordinator long enough, with the talent that we have. I think it's very hard not to be excited about this offense.
Yeah, I mean, like distribution and pre-snap motion. He loves tight ends, and I think this is the best roster on paper that and this is just on paper that he's ever coached. Like, we're not talking about, we're not on the coordinator bandwagon, we're on the player bandwagon, and
Right.
the potential and ceiling that they have and what they could do. Like, we could be excited what we're supposed to be,
Right.
depressed and be negative. After last season ended, yeah, it sucked, but like a lot of changes had to be made, and they did a lot more than I expect them. And on top of a good free agency, a well-respected, busy free agency, and a really good draft, potentially, I'd say in a couple years, they could actually hit on 5 of those draft picks in a couple years, potentially.
Agreed.
So,
yeah, I think the Eagles' offense should be really, really good. Fade into Gaming. Welcome to Dingbat super fans, man. Thank you so much for joining. And we got just about 700 people in the chat between both channels. If you're new, hit that link. Make sure you go sub up JoeyShakes if you're on my channel. And then if you want to get your Big Pippin Howie Roseman shirts, click the link in the description. They are out, as well as the Cooper Dijon. And we got some Q stuff coming. So definitely check that out. South Jersey says 500. The draft is Howie. Howie show, not Nick. What do you expect Nick to do? I understand that, but it's not just the fact that Nick in the draft. I don't expect Nick to do anything in the draft, but you can just look at a guy, and sometimes you can get a read, a feel. The feel that I get from Nick is uncomfortable, right? He basically was in the same situation that Doug Peterson was in, where they wanted certain changes. They basically wanted more control. Doug said no. Doug left. Nick Sirianni said yes. I don't know. When I look at Nick, I'm not expecting him to do things in the draft or anything like that. But there's an uneasiness, there's an uncomfortableness about him. And just the way he's like, I don't know, just carrying himself in the press conference. And maybe I'm looking into it. I fully admit maybe I am. But it just seems like he's uncomfortable.
I've watched other like War Room draft behind the scenes of like the War Room and stuff, and I've seen like other head coaches be like not too involved, but like at least like you're in the picture of like you're involved and you're talking, and there's like some quotes being said by the head coach. But this War Room by the Philadelphia Eagles in this draft, Nick wasn't involved in not even saying one word on any of these draft picks besides getting on the phone and congratulate them coming to Philadelphia. There's been nothing else at all.
Right.
So
I don't know. Is this one yours, Joey?
Yeah, it's Mark Mullenhauer. Thank you for joining Shakes Army. Member for 3 months. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you, man. Appreciate you. And I'm not even talking about so much about the draft room. To me, it's the press conferences. It was at the combine. I don't know. He seems off to me. You know what I'm saying? Like he's trying to navigate his place in this whole thing. Foster Parts, thank you for the super chat. He goes, Jalen Hurts with Kellen Moore has the potential for 35-40 passing touchdowns with 10 rushing touchdowns, only 5 to 7 interceptions, 2 or 3 fumbles. I agree. I totally agree. For me, the question isn't to me Jalen Hurts or the receivers or the line. To me, the question is going to be who's the third wide receiver. I am not sold on Devontae Parker or Paris Campbell. I'm just not. And I'm hoping Anaya Smith just runs with the job. That's the best case scenario. But I would not be surprised if you get into training camp and they see and they think themselves, well, Anaya Smith, maybe he's not quite ready to start. I would not be surprised to see them make a move at wide receiver. I wouldn't.
Look, an actual trade. I mean, I saw like a John Mechie like rumor for the past while, and I don't know because John Mechie's kind of the odd man out now in Houston. That's like the only news I've seen, and it's not even. It's like third. It's barely even third party at this point. So,
right. Kellen Moore loves tight ends. Well, that's great. We've got a great tight end. I mean, when you look at Kellen Moore with Dallas, I mean, dude, they had Amari Cooper. Gallup was like before his injury. They had CeeDee Lamb. They had remember Cedric Wilson, how good he was. I mean, they had weapons. They were, I think, a number 1 seed, and they stunk. They choked. It wasn't on Kellen Moore. And then Kellen Moore leaves, and then they go and they play Green Bay. The same thing happens. It's crazy. It's crazy. This narrative has developed that the Dallas Cowboys have had no weapons and they've never done anything around Dak. That is such bullshit. It's not even funny. It's the biggest bullshit in the world.
Yeah, I mean, I think Dak's best year under Kellen, I think he almost had like 5,000 yards. It was pretty close.
He had 37 touchdowns. I think they were like the number 1 seed. I remember late in the year they came in and they destroyed us. And then you get to the playoffs and Dak Prescott chokes. I mean, you remember that Green Bay game last year. The one thing immediately that you saw from the first throw was him and CeeDee Lamb all sudden
no connection. Yeah.
No connection, and they're bickering. Like that's a choke job. That's a choke job. But I think Kellen Moore is going to prove this year. Like we get to the NFC Championship game, then Dallas has a big problem because now they're going to have to accept the fact that it wasn't Kellen Moore, that it was Dak Prescott. Something everybody else in the world knows but them.
True.
So we'll see. Games ain't won on paper. Kelsey said Hurts wasn't picking up the blitz. It's not. It's definitely not one on paper. And there were times I think where he didn't pick up the blitz. And there was also times where if you look at the offense and the things that the coordinators were doing, it made you wonder if they even were picking up on the blitz. Like, how come as many times as they blitz, how come there was never any there was never any hot routes? There's no hot reads ever. Ever.
You beat Jalen Hurts on a cover 0 blitz. Like, of course, like they didn't fear Jalen Hurts and the weapons in this offense because these receivers, these route combinations, the concepts, and just it was a mess. Man.
How many times I remember streaming going, if you would just run a screen to the running back, there's 40 yards of open space because everybody's coming. They're leaving the running back. They're not even worried. If he just lobs it over to the running back, you got space in front of you. They never ran it. So, yeah, Jalen Hurts did have problems, but he got nothing from the coaches. Nobody to say, this is what you got to do in this situation. Let us help you out here. Let us bring in an extra tight end for block. Like, they didn't do anything to help him, and it was really annoying. And the other thing was that, people would say, well, DeAndre Swift can't block. But then Gainwell would come in and he would get destroyed. He couldn't block either. That's not a problem anymore. Now you have a running back you could throw to out of the backfield. And he's one of the better blocking running backs. So I think things will be different.
The playoff game against Tampa, like that, they threw on a cover 0 blitz. They threw the ball in the middle of the field one time. That was to Devontae Smith, and he ran all the way to the 35, like on the other side. So, so they just couldn't get it done. They never could at least, if the rumors are true, the leaks happened at the end of the year last year. Someone close to Jalen Hurts in the situation that Brian Johnson, Jalen Hurts had a disconnect, and that, Jalen Hurts has his meetings with Nick Sirianni every week and says, hey, we need to change it. We need more intermediate passes. We need to change this offense. And Nick just said, okay, sure. And just swept it under the rug and never made any changes. So how does your quarterback feel you have meetings every week? How does your quarterback feel every week when things are not changing? And like the players, like now you're starting to understand now, like AJ Brown trying to the last season, the last game against the Giants, all throughout that week of practice, he was like, we, bringing all the players together in these players only meetings. We need to believe in the coaching staff. Like,
they didn't trust them.
And, Kenneth Gainwell just had a podcast a couple days ago and said that there was a big disconnect between the coaches to the players. And I believe 100% that AJ Brown or somebody went behind the scenes to the coach and said, we need to figure this out. And I think that's when AJ Brown was like, I'm doing my silence.
I definitely think AJ Brown went to the coaching staff and said, this is what we need to do. And they kind of told him like, whatever, didn't listen to him, and made him feel like, well, okay, I'm not going to say anything anymore. What's the point? That's exactly the attitude he had. And so, I agree. Princess Gamer, what is going on? How are you? 28-12 Phillies. 28-12. What do you mean 28-12? Like not real score, is it? T. Grant says, you guys are just making shit up. What are we making up?
Okay.
What are we making up?
All right.
Yeah, we invented this. We wrote the script last night and said, hey, Joey, let's go on there and talk about how it's, this and that. And let's write. I just wrote in that Dak Prescott's a choker. We really know that he's not a choker. I mean, he's only got 2 playoff wins, but let's make pretend. Let's make pretend that the Eagles coaching staff wasn't any good. I mean, they only fired them, but hey, what are you going to do? I don't know. It's crazy. Hurts been in the playoffs since he became a star. Dak 8 years here and there. Hurts has as many wins as Dak Prescott in half the time. He's also been to the Super Bowl. Not only has he been to the Super Bowl, let's face it, he gets you have more time on the clock. They don't call penalty there. He's going down, and I believe he's winning that game, and he's winning the MVP. So, I mean, to me, if I have to take a guy in the playoffs to win a game, to have a drive, I'm taking Jalen Hurts over Dak Prescott any day of the week, because Dak Prescott has not, and I know Cowboy fans think this is like making this up, but he's not showed that he's capable of winning big games. He just hasn't. And there's no excuse. They can't deny it.
Oh, and I think there's jealousy behind the scenes too, because unfortunately the Eagles stay relevant because the Eagles have a GM that stays relevant every single offseason and always trying to upgrade this roster. Dallas doesn't make the big moves. They don't sign big free agents. And when they draft, I mean, you know, it's hit or miss, mostly miss most of the time, comparing all the drafts the last few years. So I think between the Eagles and the Cowboys, I think, you know, what makes up for the Eagles' bad season is a good offseason and trying to change things. It seems like Dallas just never changes things. That family is stuck to what they do, what they know, and nothing will change unless that family is out of the business. And that's just the truth. Like, it is.
It just is. J-Dog says, my question is, what if the wide receiver screens work? Do you bring it back or just use it when you feel like it's going to work? No, I think, listen,
nothing wrong with
it works. And I mean, I don't expect them to never use it. But, like, I think there was a game, I forget which game, where they literally ran 5 plays and 3 of them were wide receiver screens. It's like they got to use it at the right time. You got to incorporate right. And don't put Devontae Smith out there to block, please. You know, things like that is just stupid. Let's see here. Yeah, question, does Dallas still stink? Absolutely, they stink. They totally do. Yep. Let's see. Ian says, if you bring in Simmons, a lot of defensive backs have to go. It's crazy even being in the situation from where we were last year, but already we have the potential starters: Reed, Sidney, Maddox, Rogers, Slay, and Brad. Well, yeah, I mean, what about and the rookies too? I mean, to me, I got 2 top 20 guys in the draft. I don't understand why Mitchell and Dijon are not hitting the field early this year. Early. You know, you want those guys to hit the field. You know, and Dijon, you have to remember, he's not a first-round pick. He does not get that extra year that you get with Quinyon Mitchell. So you want to take advantage of it, and you want to take advantage of it now.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, just wait. I mean, it's just going to be a waste. It's just going to be to redshirt a player all year. It's going to piss me off. Especially a guy in the secondary we really need. 2 guys in the secondary we absolutely need, especially Quinyon Mitchell, dude. Like, you drafted him first. Like, there's no way you're no. They sit him out 3/4 of the season, half the season. Like, why? If you already know if Bradbury's like if you already know he's gonna fail, or if they have some type, they want to give him a redeeming chance this year, like, I don't know.
Right. What confusing. You know, besides Dijon and Mitchell, I think there are other guys that could significantly play early this year. I think Anais Smith, with the receiving situation, is got a really chance to really impact and play. Keegan is a guy that I think is going to get a chance to bat. I think he's going to win the right guard spot.
Damn.
When you see he came from Michigan, he's a national championship. He didn't give up a sack. He might make a real push. You know, you got Beck the 2 still out there. I think Trotter is another guy, because the linebackers aren't all that deep and we really don't know what's going on. I think he has an opportunity. So, like, if you look at this draft class, you could literally, I could see a situation where you're getting playing time from 3-4 rookies. And to me, if you do that, I mean, that's big time. I mean, what that does for your cap to have these guys on the field in rookie contracts and to contribute, I mean, it's huge.
I mean, Jalen Hutt as well, because who knows? He might be a big Fangio type player in coverage, and as an edge rusher, he might be a fantastic player here. So I think within a couple years, between this year and next year, they could hit on, like I said, they could hit on 5 players from this draft. I mean, easy.
Yeah. I agree, you know, and we've talked so much about, I remember before they signed Barkley, we were talking about making your offense better and then using the draft to get young defensive players and let them play.
Right.
And they're set up perfectly. They're set up perfectly for that right now, So definitely do it. Ali says, I think they are going to trade Bradbury after June 2nd. I don't know if they can get any. I don't know what they could get for Bradbury. Maybe they could get something late, but I hope so. I hope that they do. But if they do trade Bradbury, do they put Isaiah Rodgers out there? See, that would be a big mistake to me. That would be a huge mistake. You put Mitchell out there, and then you put Rodgers in the slot. Now you have Slay, Rodgers, and Bradbury. You have two guys that can start, and you have one, the best corner in the draft. That's the perfect way to do it.
So if Bradbury fails this year, like don't sit on it and act like you don't have any backups, you don't have any depth to replace somebody. Like, this is why you have camp now. So these guys, if they have to come in, if your plan is to keep Bradbury this year, keep him in as the number 2 corner, and he starts to regress a little bit, or he's just not panning out, make the move and take him out of there. I don't care if it's $10.5 million this year. I mean, he's a $4 million, a little over $4 million cap hit. Like, there's no excuse now. Like, you're gonna have enough nickel corners, you're gonna have enough outside corners. They're loaded, bro. They're loaded.
There's no question about it. Chris Gus says, I just think Dijon is going to be used as a safety nickel cornerback. Rodgers could be used the same way in a rotation. I think so too. I think he's going to start off really nickel, corner, safety. I mean, they even like to use C.J. Gardner-Johnson as a nickel in the nickel sometimes. So I look at those safeties as, playing nickel at certain times. But I think and this is purely speculation, as the year goes on, I think he's going to play more and more safety. I do, and I think that's where he's going to start. My imagination for Dijon is 2-3 years down the road, he is really doing what Malcolm Jenkins did. You need him on the outside to cover a guy, you play him. You want him to cover a certain tight end, you put him there. You want him to play in the nickel. Like, move him all around, Swiss Army knife, a guy that is going to be just a weapon on defense. That's getting the most out of his talent. That's where I see them going with him in 2 or 3 years. And that's my hope.
Yeah, I mean, he could be the next Harrison Smith. He could disguise coverages and make things look like they aren't in the secondary. And I think
he's more athletic than Harrison.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Yeah. 100%.
And then I think Quinyon Mitchell is going to be one of the best corners in this league in a few years. You could seriously be in a situation where your secondary is the best in the NFL. I mean, with DeJean, with Mitchell, with C.J. Gardner-Johnson, just those three, to me, you have all ball hawks, man. It's really something special. Let's see. Philly needs a vape of his powdered sugar. Dude, I haven't had sugar in like a week. I'm off the sugar. Did the Eagles ever draft a fullback? Yeah, I'm sure back in the day they drafted a fullback. I can't think of anybody offhand. But, not now. Let's see. Ultra Dickhead. Micah is going to want out. WTF, he's saying for real. Oh, Micah Parsons. Future Eagle Micah Parsons, are we talking about? Are we talking about future Eagle Micah Parsons? Parsons can't wait to get to Philly, man. J-Dog says, you talk about who's going to win the wide receiver spot, wide receiver 3. The question is, who do you want to win? I like it. I like to do what a rookie to win it. Or do you want Paris Campbell winning that spot? I want Anaya Smith to win that spot. I like the comparisons to Debo, yards after the catch. I want him to win it, and I think that he's got a really good chance. I look at Paris Campbell. I don't know. I mean, I know he had one decent year, but I don't know. Is he so good that he has got that third wide receiver spot locked down? I don't really believe it. And Devontae Parker, is very talented. I just think he's old. And when I say that, I mean, when I watched New England last year, I was like, man, he looked like he lost 2 or 3 steps.
Yeah.
Maybe he was injured. Maybe he had a hurt big ass toe like Avonte Maddox, but he didn't look good to me. So,
Yeah, for depth, I think Paris Campbell is great for the team. I think they'll definitely keep him as a depth guy. But I think Anaya Smith, the open field killer, catches in traffic really well, catches in traffic tough. I mean, he's perfect size at 5'9", 190 pounds.
He's perfect to win that spot. He really is. I hope that they give it to him. I hope he wins it. My theory is that they're going to give him a chance. And if something doesn't work out, they still could upgrade that position. But I want that kid to come in and win. I want these rookies to win. I want to come out of this season going, we had 3-4 rookies play. They were good. And now they got a whole year of experience and they're going in their second year next year. This team is scary. Like, that's what I want, especially from the defensive side of the ball,
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Death Row South, thank you for super chat, man. He goes, the Eagles better get 3 Super Bowls out of this roster or else a failure. And Fangio is going to play who he feels ready to play. Absolutely. At the end of the day, we're speculating a lot of this stuff because we haven't seen what these guys do in the field yet. That is absolutely true. But unfortunately, we can't really know until we know. So we're stuck with speculation. But thank you for super chat. It's going to be interesting. I tell you what, Fangio, even if you listen to how we talked about Mitchell, you can clearly see that he looks at the rookies and says, you're a rookie. You got to come in and show us something.
Mm-hmm.
So he is not just giving these rookies a job. They're going to have to come in and earn it. And that's fine. I'm totally okay with that,
Yeah, agreed. I believe it.
Emmanuel Agba is still available. Yeah, that's interesting. Agba, who else? What's this? Yannick Ngakoue. Every year it seems like Yannick Ngakoue is available.
He's on a different. I think he got hurt last year. I think he did get hurt with the Bears.
Yeah. Chris Scott says Byers. Well, yeah, Byers was a running back. He wasn't a fullback though. I don't know. I can't think of off the hand what fullbacks they drafted. 500. How much will you use Nolan Smith? I would hope a lot. I would think a lot. I would think Bryce Huff and Nolan Smith are going to get a lot of snaps. The guy to me is going to be is going to be Jalix Hunt because I'm not sure that he's so ready for this year. He seems like, just from hearing them talk, that it may take him a couple years. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, like the offseason program, they'll probably throw like he's gonna. I mean, for Fangio says he's gonna throw a lot on these guys at the beginning of camp, and just to test them out, test their mentality out of how they execute at certain positions. And like I said, I trust in his judgment. We'll see how it goes, but we'll see. We're in the early process right now. So.
Yeah. Kevin Turner, a fullback. I think Kevin Turner, didn't he come over from the 49ers? I think he was a free agent pickup. Richie was a fullback, but drafted by the Raiders. Right, yeah. We're talking about, the question was for fullbacks that we drafted. I can't, off the top of my head, I can't think of it. 500, do you think Ringo had a breakout year? Has a breakout year? I don't know, because I don't know how much Ringo's going to start. I kind of see Ringo as behind Slay and learning and give him one more year to kind of back up. That's kind of what I see with Ringo. But I like Ringo. I like what I saw from him. I think he showed me a lot at the end of the year.
Yeah, true.
So we'll see. We'll see. So we got about 700 people in the chat. Thank you guys so much. Hit the link. Make sure you guys go sub Up Joey if you're on my channel. And we're about an hour and 20 minutes in. Is there anything else, man, that we have not yet covered?
I think we covered everything. We talked about the coordinators, talked about obviously what we think they'll do with the players and into training camp and having mini camp for a few days in June, which is good. So we bring that back a little bit.
Right.
That's really it. I mean, we're wait till the schedule comes out next week. We don't have to wait until next Wednesday because it'll all of it will
it'll
get
start leak out.
Yeah, by Sunday, by tomorrow into Monday, everything's gonna get leaked out. Mostly.
Please, no Christmas. That's all I'm asking. I'll even give up Thanksgiving not to give up Christmas. But no Christmas, no Christmas Eve. That's all I'm asking.
Oh, so you're saying either Thanksgiving or one of the two?
I don't want. I mean, I prefer to have Thanksgiving free too. But if you had to say Christmas Eve, Christmas, or Thanksgiving, I'd give up my Thanksgiving. I don't like giving up Christmas Eve, and I don't like giving up Christmas. I just don't. It's my day, man. It's my. I don't want to be bothered.
I get it.
But
hopefully not.
But yeah. But anyways, I mean, I guess that's it, right? Pretty much. I mean,
yeah,
we're in the end game now. We're in the end game now. Falls apart. David Super J goes, I heard the Eagles at Ravens for Christmas. Yeah, that's the rumor. These rumors don't always work out to be true. Last year we heard some stuff that didn't happen. So I'm hoping it's not going to be the case. I really hope. I mean, we're playing on a Friday, week 1 in Brazil. I feel like they need to leave us alone a little bit, instead of taking everything from us. But we'll see. We will see. Also, just a quick reminder: if you guys want your big pimpin' Howie Roseman, his Pimp and Strong shirts, link is in the description, as well as the Cooper DeJean. The Cooper DeJeans go out next week, I believe. Isn't that the case?
Yeah, early next week. The pre-orders for that shirt will be shipped if you ordered one.
So look for that. But anyways, I want to thank everybody, for hanging out with us. Thank you for all the super chats. Very generous.
Mm-hmm.
And we appreciate you guys, and we'll see what happens. It should be a very interesting week.
We will see. We will see.
All right, guys, we are out of here. With that said, take care. Talk to you later, of course. Don't be a dingbat. Peace.
Plenty of time.
Come on.
Oh, shit! Dad! No!
It's over. It's over. This game is over. Cut it off. It's over.
Fuck.
Congratulations, Green Bay. Congratulations, Green Bay. Congratulations, Green Bay.
I said run the ball.
Congratulations, Green Bay. Dak Prescott, you need to be fired today. That was on you, Dak. That was on you, Dak. That was on you, Dak.
I said run the ball.
That was on Dak Prescott.
Trying to feed him
Trying to feed the CeeDee Lamb. Trying to feed the CeeDee Lamb. You tried to feed the CeeDee Lamb. You got to give it to CeeDee Lamb. God. It's over. It's over, Dak. Put Trey Lance in the game. Trey Lance can't do worse than you.
I'm an idiot because I buy into this shit. Because here's the thing. I am a grown-ass man. And I talk the talk. It is killing me.
I feel it coming. I feel like it's going to take Jerry Jones taking. Cut it off. It's over.